Greetings, my name is Chamomile and this is an exploration of the entire galaxy sector by sector. Today we're looking at the Iseno Sector and the second Green Mantle Command of the Slice of the Inner Rim. Planet Iseno is technically the sector capital, but nothing ever happens there, and it's not super important outside of that one capital building. The important planet in the Iseno Sector is Denon, one of the few Ecumenopoli found outside the core worlds, and according to some reports, the planet with the second largest population after Coruscant. It's a distant second, reportedly about 500 billion, and that's how these things go. A lot of people want to live on the biggest planet in the galaxy, and a lot of people want to live far away from the noise and bustle of a city planet, but people don't generally want to live on the second biggest planet in the galaxy. Like, yeah, Coruscant's expensive, not everyone who wants to live there can afford to, but it's a pretty narrow slice of the population who don't have enough money for Coruscant, but do have enough for Denon. After Endor, the Rebels demolished Darksaber, Nighthammer, and Emerald Banner, while rebellions all throughout the galaxy punched holes in basically every single one of the Oversector commands, with only a few exceptions like Shadow Hand and the Deep Core. People knew about the secret passage to the far side of the core that General Grievous took to reach Coruscant, and Black Sword Command was fortified to guard that flank, but everyone expected the next blow to fall on Green Mantle, home of rebel-friendly planets like Corellia, Duro, and Cato Nemoidia. Denon was one of the only loyalist worlds in all of Green Mantle, and certainly the biggest and most powerful. Unfortunately, with 500 billion people, it held over half of the entire Oversector's population. There's a reason why the rebels swung the other way, towards Coruscant by way of Chalcedon and Frisia. The Empire sent out Black Sword and Azure Hammer to meet the rebels at Jakku, and we all know how that battle turned out. Denon didn't surrender afterwards. They had been preparing to be the rock against which the rebel fleet would break for nearly a year. But Nubia, Duro, and Corellia all flipped to the New Republic as soon as it was declared on Coruscant, which meant most of the shipyards used by Green Mantle were now loyal to the Republic. The New Republic split their fleet in a couple of different directions during this post-Jakku mop-up period. They didn't want to echo the reconquest of the Rim at the end of the Clone Wars when the freshly declared Galactic Empire finished off Separatist remnants, but there were a few planets that it was decided couldn't be allowed to go Imperial and had to be cleaned up even after the war was officially declared over. Bilbringi to secure the Spinward's flank of the core, the Meridian Sector to keep a clear line open from the core to liberated planets like Mon Cala and Kashyyyk, and Denon, to deny its vast population to any attempt by the Imperials to attack the southern core. With total orbital superiority achieved quickly and easily, the New Republic spent over a year methodically unwinding the defenses of Denon, despite the war allegedly having ended. Because of their orbital superiority, they didn't have to fight block by block for the entire planet. Instead, they just had to secure a landing zone big enough to unload entire battalions, push from there to key strategic areas like the planetary capital building or a major Imperial fortress, and capture the target. Fighting took forever and was pretty fierce for the troops involved, but it didn't involve that many troops, as the New Republic was demilitarizing on one side, and on the other, the Empire had plenty of warm bodies on Denon, but in the face of the New Republic orbital supremacy, big targets like AT-ATs and saber tanks were unusable. Y-Wings would just take them out. The Empire had tons of Imperial Army troopers with regular old blasters, but pretty soon they had no heavy armor, no artillery, no TIE fighters, and definitely no Star Destroyers. By the end, the New Republic would sometimes get a daily loss ratio of 100 to 1. By that time, the high-ranking Imperial commanders who'd made the decision to resist despite the mass surrender of Imperial forces across the rest of Green Mantle had all been captured or killed by the New Republic, and the mid-ranking guys left over didn't love the idea of spending the next 10 years being slowly ground down to a nub in the hopes that the New Republic would give up and go away. Especially since the New Republic could always give up and orbitally bombard the planet instead. That would be a violation of the New Republic's principles, but when someone gives up, you can't predict exactly what they'll give up on, and the Imperial Remnant chose to surrender and join the Inner System's Imperial Remnant rather than roll those dice. Ecumenopoli being what they are, large sections of Denon were already part of the Inner System's Imperial Remnant. But when that all fell apart just a few years in, Denon, like most of the former Inner Systems, joined the New Republic.